Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, this video was originally supposed to be talking about stacking discipline. What ended up happening is we had a couple news things that we had to cover. And by the time we covered the news and stacking discipline, the video ended up being half an hour long. I don't like to release big videos like that. So, what I've decided to do is just make this episode about the news. The next episode, coming next week, we're going to be talking about stacking discipline, which I think is going to be a great video. It's something that a lot of members have gone through personally. I've been through it personally, and I think it's just a recurring issue that we run into working here. But for now, let's just get into the news section.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
What is going on, everybody? So today I have Phil Pleska, business agent out of Minnesota in local 346, and Greg Kerwood out of local 25 in Boston. Let's get into some housekeeping stuff. So right now in the contract, there is language about SSDs and August 15th to September 15th. Now, Greg, what is an SSD and what are these dates about?
SSD is what we used to refer to as a PVD or personal vehicle delivery driver. It's the same principle. The company changed the name. But for the next month, there's an opportunity for part-timers who want to do that during peak and deliver out of their personal vehicles to sign up for it. You get either starting driver pay or your current inside rate, whichever is higher. You get an 8-hour guarantee for the day. The company has to pay you mileage based on the federal standard, and they also have to provide insurance for your vehicle while you're delivering. So it's a pretty good deal. It's certainly a better deal than it was prior to this contract. But if people are inside employees and interested in doing that, there should be a list posted in your building as of August 15th. That should be up till September 15th. You want to put your name on that list.
So now there's this other language in Article 26. Basically, how if you want to work overtime during peak season, that you have to get off the 9-5 list by September 1st. And it's written in a very weird, construed way. But, you know, I talked to Phil earlier about this today, and he's actually already delved into this stuff in his own local. So, Phil, what have you ran into with this Article 26 language?
Basically, it's, do you want to protect your overtime come peak season? Do you want your overtime come peak season? And if you're on the 9-5 list, actively on the 9-5 list, the company wants you to sign off the 9-5 list by September 1st to basically afford you the opportunity for the overtime that you feel, that you could possibly get during the peak season. But we kind of have a little bit of a hang up, where we're at here in the central region with defining overtime. People come off the 9-5 list and the company says, well, you're working 8.25, you're working 8.50, you're working 8.75. We're not taking away your overtime. Like in the contract, it says in no event shall the implementation of this section serve to diminish the overtime opportunities for RPCDs and so forth. But some people sign off on that and they want to have a big Christmas and they want to buy big gifts and they want to make a lot of money and so forth. And then when they don't get it, we currently have a grievance or maybe even a handful of them that are going to be heard at a higher level at a panel hearing, potentially maybe even all the way out to the national, because they feel that they've been wronged. And while they did get their overtime, they watched SSDs get their off the street SSDs get their guaranteed 3 hours, when those people that signed off the 9-5 list have said, hey, those 3 hours, I want that, or a multiple of drivers seeing, 5 or 6 SSDs eating up 15 to 18 hours, that could have been overtime for the people that came off the 9-5 list. And they just kind of feel like they're getting a screw job, by the company.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, this is all new language and we're kind of working through it right now. But as he just said, right now, it may not be worth coming off the 9-5 list until we get this language better defined. Is that correct, Phil?
In my opinion, I spent a lot of years at a hub, doing a multiple of different jobs, RPCD included. And in my opinion, and in some of the drivers that I still speak to almost on a daily basis, it's not worth it to come off and run the chance of, okay, cool, I'm going to get 10 hours of overtime, 11 hours of overtime, 11 hours a day at 12 hours a day. And then all of a sudden, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they're not getting what they wanted. All the while, once they come off, they get just buried in September, October, and all the way up to November 15th, with over 9-5 days, and they don't have no 9-5 protection and no language to protect them, and there's no contractual violation because they signed off. So my recommendation, if it's me, I'm not risking it. I'm staying on the 9-5 list. I'm on there for a reason, and more often than not, there's overtime opportunity. But last year in the central region, up here where I'm at, there was a lot of 8-hour days, 9-hour days, and typically peak, you're working, 10-hour days, 11-hour days, 11.5-hour days, and they're having to watch your DOT hours by the end of the week. Last year, there were people working 8-hour days, and then you watch an SSD go out on the street, and you just kind of go, well, there goes my overtime.
Now let's get into shout outs. Phil, do you have any shout outs tonight?
Sure. I got a shout out to the members that have taken the time to read their contract cover to cover. To me, that's a really important piece of literature as a UPS employee, part-time, full-time, and whatever job you do. Shout out to all the members that have taken the time to read it. When the contracts came out this year, I drove around for about a week straight to my 7 different centers, and I hand delivered contracts to each and every employee that I ran across. But can't stress it enough. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. So shout out to the members that have done so.
My shout out has to go to our Canadian Rail brothers and sisters who are currently in a lockout situation, perhaps soon to be a strike situation. We're all on the same team. Obviously, the rail industry is probably more linked than any other industry across borders. We are the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and we have a whole pile of Teamsters north of the border. They're in for a fight, I think. Hopefully, these companies come to their senses. But we saw our rail workers deal with a similar situation last year, where the media sort of wants to side with the necessity of moving goods over the rights of workers, and sort of the spin goes against the working people wrongly. And so they're going to need all the support they can get. So we're behind them 100% down here, and hopefully the company will come to its senses, and the public will be on their side, and put that to bed.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Dave Hankus. He's the steward that runs with me or helps me out. He's saved my butt so many times now. He puts a lot of time, energy, and effort into this. And yeah, a lot of us, actually, me, him, and Greg will be down at TDU this year. So if you come down, say hi to us, and yeah, we'll chat. Anyways, that's all I got, everybody. I love you, and I will see you next time.
This is part of the company's process. They don't use discipline for what it's designed to be used for, which is to change behavior. They use discipline as a threat, as a tool, what they believe will motivate people to do what they want, unquestioningly. And in order to do that, they try to harbor every piece of discipline under the same umbrella.